Have you noticed how certain moments in life feel strangely quiet right before everything changes? Not because the world becomes silent. Not because people stop talking. But because somewhere, behind the scenes, a decision is being made that will completely alter the direction of your future. And today, the message before you revolves around one extraordinary truth. Someone is about to shock everyone just to choose you. This is not the kind of choice people make lightly. This is not a small decision. This is not someone casually changing their mind. No. This is the kind of choice that causes conversations to stop. The kind of choice that leaves entire groups speechless. The kind of choice that makes people ask, wait, they chose who? Because what is unfolding right now is bigger than most people realize. For a long time, this person has been standing at a crossroads. One path was comfortable. The other path led toward you. One path would keep everyone happy. The other path would force them to explain themselves. One path required no courage. The other required everything. And for months, maybe even years, they have been wrestling with this decision in silence. Nobody knew. Nobody saw. Nobody understood the storm happening inside their heart. Because outwardly they looked normal. They smiled. They worked. They talked. They lived their life. But inwardly, you were never far from their thoughts. There were moments when they tried convincing themselves to move on. Moments when they told themselves it was impossible. Moments when they listened to the opinions of other people. And yet, every single road somehow led them back to you. Every distraction faded. Every replacement felt incomplete. Every attempt to ignore their feelings created an even stronger awareness of what they truly wanted. You. Not someone similar to you. Not someone easier. Not someone more convenient. You. And that is where the shock begins. Because the people around them have absolutely no idea how serious this has become. The world sees one version of this person. But there is another version hidden underneath. A version that has been planning. Thinking. Watching. Waiting. Preparing. A version that is getting closer to a decision that nobody expects. In fact, there are people who would laugh if they knew. People who would say, that would never happen. They would never do that. They would never choose that person. But those same people are about to witness something that changes everything. Because the strongest decisions are often made in silence. Not in public. Not on social media. Not through announcements. They happen privately. And then one day, everyone discovers the truth at once. Imagine a dam holding back an ocean. From the outside everything appears stable. But inside, pressure keeps building. More pressure. More force. More intensity. Until eventually the structure can no longer contain what has been growing. That is exactly what is happening with this person. The feelings they have kept hidden are becoming impossible to control. The future they have been imagining refuses to disappear. The connection they feel refuses to weaken. And now something unexpected is happening. Their fear is becoming smaller than their desire. Read that again. Their fear is becoming smaller than their desire. Because fear is what stopped them before. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of consequences. Fear of what others might think. Fear of what could go wrong. But there comes a moment when wanting something becomes stronger than fearing it. And that moment is approaching. Very quickly. What makes this story so shocking is not simply that they choose you. It is what they are willing to risk in order to do it. There are people whose expectations they may disappoint. There are assumptions they may destroy. There are plans they may completely rewrite. There are conversations they may need to have that they have avoided for a very long time. And yet something inside them keeps saying the same thing. If I don't do this, I will regret it forever. That thought follows them everywhere. When they wake up. When they work. When they drive. When they sit alone. When they try to sleep. The question returns. Again. And again. And again. What if the person I'm supposed to choose is the one I've been afraid to choose all along? And every time that question appears, your energy appears with it. That is why they cannot fully move on. Because their heart has already seen something their mind is still trying to understand. There is another revelation here. One that almost nobody sees coming. This person has recently started imagining a future that includes you in ways they never allowed themselves to imagine before. Not briefly. Not casually. Seriously. They have imagined conversations. Places. Moments. Experiences. Memories that do not yet exist. And the strange thing? Those visions keep feeling real. As though the future is trying to introduce itself before it arrives. Now listen carefully. Because this next part is important. The shock everyone experiences will not happen because they suddenly develop feelings. The feelings already exist. The shock comes when they finally stop hiding them. That is the difference. People think the surprise is the emotion. It isn't. The surprise is the action. The decision. The courage. The choice. And courage changes everything. A person can hide feelings for years. But the moment courage arrives, entire destinies can change overnight. Right now, there are invisible pieces moving into place. Events. Conversations. Circumstances. Opportunities. Tiny moments that seem meaningless individually. But together they are building towards something much larger. Toward a moment when this person realizes there is no more waiting. No more delaying. No more pretending. No more excuses. Only truth. And truth has a way of shocking everyone. Especially those who believe they knew the ending. Many people think they understand this person's future. Many people assume they know what choice will be made. Many people are confident in their predictions. But they are about to discover something powerful. Nobody truly knows what is happening inside another person's heart. Nobody. And that hidden heart is preparing to make a move. One that few saw coming. One that many never believed possible. One that changes the entire narrative. There is something else you need to know. This person has been paying attention. Much more than you realize. They notice things. Small details. Tiny behaviors. Moments others overlook. They remember your words. They remember your energy. They remember how you made them feel. Even when they acted unaffected. Even when they seemed distant. Even when they appeared focused elsewhere. Something about you stayed with them. Something remained. And over time, that feeling became impossible to replace. Not because you are perfect, but because you are real. And authenticity is rare. People spend years searching for something genuine. Something that feels different. Something that feels alive. When they find it, they cannot easily forget it. That is why this decision has become so significant. Because choosing you is not simply choosing a person. It is choosing a feeling. A future. A possibility. A version of life that feels more honest than the alternatives. And honesty is becoming impossible for them to ignore. There are nights when they replay memories. Moments when they wonder what would happen if they finally said everything. Moments when they imagine your reaction. Moments when they picture the future that could unfold if they stop holding back. The more they imagine it, the more real it becomes. The more real it becomes, the harder it becomes to walk away. And now they are reaching a point where silence feels heavier than action. Think about that. Silence feels heavier than action. That is the turning point. That is the exact moment when lives begin changing. Because once silence becomes painful, people start speaking. Once hesitation becomes exhausting, people start moving. Once regret becomes frightening, people start choosing. And this person is moving closer to that threshold every single day. The universe has an interesting habit. It often tests people right before breakthroughs happen. Confusion appears. Delays appear. Challenges appear. Unexpected obstacles appear. Not because the opportunity is disappearing, but because the decision is becoming real. This person has recently faced moments that forced them to think deeply. Moments that made them question what truly matters. Moments that exposed what they actually want. And every road keeps pointing back toward the same destination. You. Not because fate forced it. Not because anyone manipulated it. But because their heart keeps arriving at the same conclusion. The conclusion they tried avoiding. The conclusion they tried delaying. The conclusion they tried explaining away. And that conclusion is becoming impossible to deny. The biggest shock is still ahead. Because when people hear about this choice, many will focus on what was sacrificed. But this person will focus on what was gained. They will not think about what they left behind. They will think about what they finally moved toward. That perspective changes everything. Most people spend their lives running from fear. Very few run toward what they truly want. This person is becoming one of those rare individuals. And when they finally act, The reaction around them may be dramatic. Questions. Opinions. Surprise. Disbelief. Speculation. But none of that will matter. Because by then, the decision will already be made. The door will already be open. The path will already be chosen. And the story everyone thought they understood will suddenly look very different. So if life has felt strange lately, if certain energies have felt intense, if you've sensed that something important is developing beneath the surface, trust that feeling. Because not every shift announces itself loudly. Some arrive quietly. Like footsteps approaching from a distance. Like a sunrise before the first light appears. Like a decision being made in a heart nobody can see. A decision growing stronger. Bolder. Closer. A decision capable of shocking everyone. A decision capable of changing two futures at the same time. And if the signs are correct, that moment is not as far away as it seems. Somewhere, someone is getting tired of hiding. Tired of waiting. Tired of pretending. Tired of choosing fear over truth. And for the first time in a long time, they are beginning to understand something powerful. The risk of choosing you is no longer what scares them. The risk of losing the chance to choose you is. And that realization changes everything. Because once a person reaches that point, once they understand what is truly at stake, once they realize what they stand to lose, there is no returning to the old version of themselves. Only movement. Only action. Only choice. And that choice may be the very thing that shocks everyone. The moment a person decides they would rather face uncertainty than regret, everything begins to move faster. And that is exactly where this story continues. Because after all the hesitation, after all the overthinking, after all the silent battles nobody knew were happening, this person has reached a place they never expected to reach. A place where imagining life without you feels far more painful than facing the consequences of choosing you. That realization did not happen overnight. It happened slowly. Quietly. Like a spark hidden beneath ashes. At first, they ignored it. Then they questioned it. Then they fought against it. But now they are beginning to surrender to it. And that changes everything. Because the moment someone stops fighting what their heart already knows, their actions start becoming very different. You may not see it immediately. You may not notice it at first. But behind the scenes, things are shifting. Conversations are changing. Priorities are changing. Thoughts are changing. Plans are changing. And all of those changes are pointing toward one shocking outcome. A choice that very few people saw coming. You see, there are people around this person who believe they know exactly what their future looks like. Family members. Friends. People who have known them for years. People who think they understand every move they will make. But what they don't understand is this. The strongest transformations often happen internally long before they become visible externally. For months, this person has been evolving. Growing. questioning, reevaluating everything, looking at life through a completely different lens. The things that once mattered don't seem as important anymore. The opinions that once controlled them don't have the same power. The fears that once stopped them are beginning to lose their grip. And when fear loses its grip, freedom begins. This person is starting to realize something profound. Nobody else has to live with their choices. Nobody else has to wake up every morning inside their life. Nobody else has to carry their regrets. Nobody else has to explain missed opportunities to their future self. Only them. And that realization is making them incredibly brave. Much braver than they were before. There was a time when they worried about every possible outcome. Every possible reaction. Every possible obstacle. But recently something changed. A question entered their mind that they cannot stop thinking about. What if the thing I've been afraid to do is the exact thing I'm supposed to do? That question follows them everywhere. It appears during random moments. Unexpected moments. Moments when they least expect it. And every time it appears, the answer becomes clearer. The answer keeps leading back to you. Not because you're forcing it. Not because anyone else is influencing it. But because their heart keeps arriving at the same destination. Again. And again. And again. As though every road eventually circles back to the same place. Now here's where things become even more surprising. This person has started imagining what life would look like after the choice is made. Not before. After. That is a huge difference. Because people only begin imagining life after a decision when they are seriously considering making it. And those visions are becoming more vivid. More detailed. More real. They are no longer focused on what could go wrong. They are becoming focused on what could finally go right. That shift is powerful. Because energy follows attention. And attention is no longer focused on fear. It is focused on possibility. The possibility of happiness. The possibility of connection. The possibility of building something meaningful. The possibility of finally being honest with themselves. And honesty is becoming impossible to avoid. There have been moments recently when they caught themselves smiling unexpectedly. Moments when your name entered their thoughts without warning. Moments when memories resurfaced for no apparent reason. Moments that reminded them of what they truly value. Those moments were not accidents. Those moments were reminders. Reminders that some connections refuse to disappear. No matter how much time passes. No matter how much distance exists. No matter how many distractions appear. Certain people leave fingerprints on the soul. And those fingerprints never completely fade. That is part of what makes this situation so intense. Because this isn't just about attraction. It isn't just about curiosity. It isn't just about temporary emotions. This runs deeper. Much deeper. There is a familiarity here. A feeling they cannot easily explain. A sense that somehow, somewhere, life keeps bringing them back to the same truth. And the truth is becoming impossible to ignore. The funny thing is that many people still think this person is undecided. Many people assume they are confused. Many people believe they haven't made up their mind. But what if the decision has already happened internally? What if the only thing left is the external action? Think about that. Sometimes a decision is made long before anyone sees evidence of it. The heart decides first. The world discovers it later. And that may be exactly what is happening now. Because something inside them feels different. More certain. More focused. More determined. They are beginning to understand that opportunities don't wait forever. Neither do people. Neither do moments. Neither do chances. Life moves. Time moves. And eventually everyone reaches a point where they must decide. Act. Or wonder forever. Choose. Or regret forever. Move. Or remain stuck forever. This person is reaching that point. The point where staying still no longer feels safe. The point where waiting no longer feels comfortable. The point where action starts feeling inevitable. And when action becomes inevitable, surprises happen. Big surprises. The kind that leave entire groups of people speechless. The kind that make others question everything they thought they knew. The kind that completely rewrite expectations. Because nobody expects the quiet person to make the bold move. Nobody expects the cautious person to take the risk. Nobody expects the hesitant person to suddenly become fearless. Until it happens. And then everyone says the same thing. I never saw that coming. That phrase is closer than many realize. Because this person has reached a stage where they are no longer asking whether they should choose you. They are beginning to ask how. How do they make it happen? How do they move forward? How do they create the future they keep imagining? How do they finally stop holding back? Those are very different questions. Questions of possibility. Not questions of doubt. And possibility is powerful. Because once someone believes something is possible, their entire behavior changes. They stop searching for reasons it can't happen. They start searching for ways it can. And that shift can transform everything. Right now, unseen forces are lining up. Unexpected opportunities. Unexpected conversations. Unexpected moments. The kinds of moments people later call coincidences. But deep down, they know those moments were leading somewhere. Leading toward a choice. Leading toward a revelation. Leading toward a future that once seemed impossible. There is another secret here. One that this person has barely admitted even to themselves. Part of them already feels protective of you. Protective of your happiness. Protective of your future. Protective of your well-being. And people rarely feel that way unless someone has become deeply important to them. That feeling cannot be faked. It cannot be manufactured. It grows naturally. Quietly. Slowly. And before they realize it, it becomes part of who they are. That is what has happened here. And now it is becoming harder to hide. The truth is pressing against the walls they built around it. The emotions are becoming stronger than the excuses. The desire is becoming stronger than the fear. The future is becoming louder than the doubts. And eventually, something has to give. Eventually, the truth has to emerge. Eventually, the choice has to be made. The most fascinating part? The people who will be most shocked are the people who think they know this person best. Because they are still operating from an old version of them. An outdated version. A version that no longer exists. The person they think they know has changed. Grown. Evolved. Awakened. And when they finally reveal their choice, everyone will realize it at once. This wasn't a sudden decision. This was a decision years in the making. A decision built from countless thoughts. Countless realizations. Countless moments of reflection. Countless battles nobody else witnessed. And now those battles are coming to an end. Not because the journey is over, but because a new chapter is beginning. A chapter defined by courage. A chapter defined by honesty. A chapter defined by action. And most importantly, a chapter defined by choice. The choice that changes everything. The choice that surprises everyone. The choice that nobody expected. The choice that reveals what their heart has known for a very long time. That some people enter your life for a reason. Some people appear and disappear. Some people teach lessons. Some people create memories. But every once in a while, someone arrives who changes the entire story. Someone who becomes impossible to replace. Impossible to forget. Impossible to ignore. And when that realization finally becomes undeniable, even the boldest risks start looking worthwhile. That is why this person is closer than ever to doing something extraordinary. Something unexpected. Something unforgettable. Something that leaves people speechless. Because they are finally understanding that the greatest shock isn't choosing you. The greatest shock is realizing they should have chosen you much sooner. And when that truth fully settles into their heart, nothing will stop what comes next.